Hi guys, can you see me? Am I seen? I hope I am. Hi guys, this is Gorden Hanks of Team Hanks and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. We are your family of real estate agents in Oregon. And today we're discussing some of the more common questions we get from first-time home buyers. But just in case you don't know who I am, I started real estate about 14 or 15 years ago. And after that I got busy. I hired the best person I could think of to join me, and that was my wife, Gail. And then we got even busier, so we put our daughter, Shalisa, to work, and Team Hanks was born. We've been blessed with a lot of successes in real estate, and over the years, we've talked to a lot of first-time buyers, and we run into several questions that we just kind of hear over and over again. But before we get into the questions and answers, you might want to tag somebody that you know who's considering buying their first home. This show is all about them. We appreciate the hearts, likes, and wows, so feel free to comment. Even in the YouTube rebroadcast, if you have questions, please ask away in the comments. We'll get back to you one way or another. I had this question from one of my recent YouTube sites from a Mr. Volstat, and it plays right into the show. He asked, what is the difference between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent? They're both commissioned sales agents, aren't they? And I said, yes, Mr. Volstat, you are correct. And if both the buyer and the seller agree, then one agent can represent both in the state of Oregon. That's called dual agency. My team and I prefer not to be dual agents. It's not even legal in some states, so you might want to check on the local level to see if it's legal for you. As an agent, I prefer to represent the interests of either the buyer or the seller, but not both. So to answer your question specifically, the non-dual agent listing agent will represent the interests of the seller only. A non-dual agent buyer's agent will represent the buyer's interests. But some people are going to say, well, why do I need an agent at all? Why don't I just do it myself? Well, let's get to it. First reason, it's just easier. An agent knows where all the properties are. The easiest way to get there, and they got a means to get inside the property. He's going to take you to see the property. He's going to make your showing appointments. He's going to facilitate and coordinate the inspections, field the questions of the title company and the other agents. A seasoned agent is going to know how the inspectors, the home inspector, the appraiser, the lender, the opposing agents, the title companies, the insurance agent. Let him play the phone tag with all those people. Just make it easier for yourself. Use an agent. Reason number 2, a real estate agent can smooth things out. The agent is a third party that can eliminate bad blood. A real estate transaction is a really big deal, and it's fueled by a big mix of emotion, ego, and large amounts of money. If you want to test the limits of a relationship, that'll do it. I've seen a real estate deal just rip a family apart, and it's really sad to watch. Not just husband and wife, but also mother and daughter, father and son. I've seen it take its toll on people, and the realtor it doesn't have to be that way. The realtor can break that fight up before it ever goes to court, and people start warring it out. So keep your family intact, hire an agent. The third reason, negotiations. A seasoned, successful agent is a trained negotiator. They've likely had formal training. They know how to keep the table scraps and walk away from the table with a win for their client. He's likely going to save you the amount of money it would cost if you hired him for his services, but you don't have to hire him. If you remember from our last episode, the buyer doesn't pay for his agent's services, the seller does. So the real estate agent is the best negotiator the buyer never ever paid for. Save some money, use that agent. Reason number 4, inexpensive representation. A real estate agent has a fiduciary relationship with his client, and by law, he's bound to act in the best interest of his client. That word fiduciary, it comes from the Latin word fidere. It simply means to trust. So your agent is legally bound to have a trusting relationship with you. It's the same relationship the law expects of an attorney, a fiduciary relationship. Some buyers will say, well, I'll just hire a lawyer if I need representation. I can tell you that you're going to need representation at the beginning during, and sometimes years after that deal is closed. A lawyer on retainer is probably going to cost you way more than an agent ever will. And unless he's a real estate attorney, he probably doesn't know as much as a seasoned agent will. And may the good Lord have mercy on you if you ever have to go with that attorney and have him represent you in court. You might not ever recover from the cost. And when an agent represents you as a buyer, he'll typically get paid 3%, and the seller pays that. So you get yourself a qualified agent. Just get somebody, a qualified agent who's going to help you protect your own interests. The fifth reason, the contract. Did you know that you can actually write a contract on a napkin and the courts will respect that? I know it sounds silly, but it's true. But is that really the thing to do? When I first started in real estate, the contract was like 6 pages long, if my memory serves me correctly. Then it was 8, and then it was 9. Now it's 13 pages, and that's just the agreement itself. Now that doesn't include the disclosures, the inspections, the addendums, the appraisal, the title information, the lender contract, and the list goes on and on and on. These days, a real estate agent averages the real estate file averages thicknesses from 1 to 3 inches of paper, and I've seen them up to 5 inches thick. One tiny mistake or omission can cost you thousands of dollars. Now, in some states, an attorney will handle the disclosures, so if you're listening to this as a rebroadcast from somewhere other than Oregon, you're going to want to check local laws. But in Oregon, the disclosures are handled by the agents, the buyer and the seller. You know how contracts grow? Lawsuits. It took a lot of lawsuits to get that contract from 6 pages to 5 inches. And when you get into that difficult situation, it can really pay to have a professional on your side. The state requires that these real estate agents, us real estate agents, have contract knowledge and continuing education on those contracts. Don't try this yourself. Hire an agent. Hire a real estate professional to help you with that contract. The real estate transaction is complicated. There is a lot of emotion involved. It's expensive. It's infrequent. All of these things lend themselves to the importance of an intermediary. Minimize your risk. Save some money. Make it easier on yourself. Hire a real estate agent. Realtors, who needs them? You do. Be sure to sign on next week when we turn our attention to the sellers, as we continue our theme of Realtors, who needs them. And please slam that like button on your way out. Blessings, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And you guys have a good night.